On this Saturday, 16 March, again, the San Luis Valley of southern Colorado out here. I'm looking out across the valley with the San Juans on the other side of the valley, and then the Sangres behind me. Not given a whole lot to look at, kind of a thick overcast. It's certainly thickened up. Had a fairly uniform cirrus shield overhead today or this morning, and I just wasn't a whole lot of definition to see in that or to share with you chemtrail wise. I could step outside at any moment, and I did a couple of times with the dogs this morning, and I'm hearing the planes but not seeing them or not even seeing the trails. So we have a few locations where we're getting the clouds excited to churn, excited to get an updraft going. This is all diffused. There's a lack of upward momentum or upward motion in the atmosphere, and in doing without that upward motion, we just can't get precipitation out of it. And so this is a little more interesting. Probably going to be a pretty short video today. There's just not a lot to show with you or share with you, as I'm kind of under this mess. It's just a weakish storm without a whole lot of potential. And there's the snow on the San Juans. Again, our snowpacks are greatly deficient. We've got fire starting already in northern Colorado. It's just the middle of March. This is not good. All right, I'll be back. Showed you a few moments ago out of my western window, looking across the valley floor, and the diffuseness of those clouds. About 45 minutes later, and on the high-resolution satellite imagery, I'm seeing this cloud with all of these banded ripples, which are still taking a bit of a crescent shape, and then it kind of breaks, and then we have a different ribbing form, and essentially a different pattern over a different part of the valley, or to the mountains to the north of Swatch Range. But what I wanted to show you, and I am down here in the San Luis Valley, here's the rippling taking shape, is the movement of this across the area. So I should get to the back side of this if it doesn't continue to redevelop and see some clouds. I'm still hearing planes overhead, so they're still doing this activity, but it is the rippling. As that shows up, it's like putting speed bumps in the atmosphere. And then the clouds have to collect around those speed bumps, much like water would, creating ripples or rapids. And so we're seeing these rapids in the forms of ripples atop the tops of the clouds. And from that, we can then begin to get rainfall. We can begin to get some precipitation taking shape. So I'm going to pop out of here, come back. I use WeatherTap largely for my weather data. They are subscription based, so it's about $7.95 a month, and it's worth every penny, so I'm not having to deal with the National Weather Service and their absolutely horrific satellite data, which is of almost useless quality because the resolution is so poor. So I use weathertap.com. And so I'm on here. We had some showers roll overhead from the beginnings of those ripples, and there's some more sprinkles expected. I'll pop out here and have you look at the mountain. And just so you can get a gander of what that looks like, I'm going to back out once more. We'll go to the western states, and then I'll go to water vapor, because that is just well, it's just the best imagery to kind of show you what's going on. And then there's just an abundance of clouds across the western states. And the jet stream has gone into a largely zonal flow, as I mentioned yesterday. So we're going to see a continuation of these storms racing in from the north and west, and maybe with more of a westerly component slightly out of the northwest. And that keeps California rather dry. And time again, I've said, where do they like to chemtrail? Underneath the high pressures. So the dry zones are these areas, and then we'll see the chemtrails they like to shoot off and begin to impact the edges of these moisture plumes, and then they can extend their clouds into the dry zones. So the water vapor imagery becomes very, very helpful when you're looking to diagnose or see from space where those trails are happening. And this is the 4-kilometer resolution stuff, so it's pretty good. And in water vapor imagery, that's honestly just about as high as the resolution gets. Again, I'm back over here, so I'm just on the edge of this plume and likely to remain largely under clouds for the rest of the day. Ahead of this next impulse, chemtrails thick through California, Nevada, Utah, Idaho, and then we've had many reports of thick trails across Alberta, essentially the prairie provinces of Canada as well. And there's my timestamp for the day, 21:30 UTC. And that is 21:44 local. Quick look at my mountains. You can kind of see a little bit of precip still on top of Challenger Peak. This had been fully engulfed in showers a few minutes ago, but as we saw on radar, what was overhead is now pushed off to the east. I just hope we get a recharge. I'd love to see some more snowfall. We need it. Fire season is way too close. Out of this event, we got a little rain, just enough to wet the ground, but no more than that. And it looks like there's more coming. So those ripplings that I showed you on satellite imagery, important at collecting the moisture, creating the banding of rain, the accumulation of the energy whereby which we can manifest or realize some precipitation. And we still have all these sweeps in the sky, all of these sweeps where all of it is being collected back down here, back down in here, back down in here, even though the whole thing is coming up and overhead. So there's more precipitation coming. There's a little bit of light snow. That's good to see. And then as it look across the horizon, we're getting a little bit out of it. Again, we've got a diffuse sky. This is the downdraft part of the storm. At least had enough updraft to be able to generate the snow and water droplets. Okay, that may be it for the day. We've got a little bit of snow, about 300-400ths in the rain gauge, so not much, just enough to muddy up the streets and so forth. But the mountains did a little bit better, maybe a 10-1500ths tops out of this little impulse. And the models didn't really have a good grasp on this thing. They were expecting a sub 20% chance of precip, so I was a little bit surprised to get it. But again, as I showed you on satellite earlier, those ripples, those waves that showed up in the cloud were the signal to me that, yes, precipitation was going to develop. And of course, I heard planes all the way through it. All right, everybody, this is it from the San Luis Valley in southern Colorado. Take care. Keep looking up. Some serious wind rolling over the tops of the mountains in the wake of the storm. Had a little bit of light snow this morning. It's kind of a ferocious ground blizzard going on up there. Skies are clear, mostly. Still have these trails in the sky. We had some lower flying planes when we had some snow showers around earlier, but otherwise we're on the backside of the storm, so the marking chemtrails almost come to a complete halt. But that doesn't mean the weather mod flights end. That is hardly the case. They're just low and slow and without trails. And then the planes, the other marking trails, actually on the backside of the storm, it's just not as precise. It just isn't, there just isn't the need. Anyway, Sunday, 17 August, my goodness, 17 March.